Geo is great. Geo's wife Tiff is great. Geo's mum's awesome. Love her. So literally, I get on with everyone apart from Rose and Jarvis.
Well, you did introduce us to this game, Snog, Marry, Void, which, yes, we have a different version here in the US, but you did introduce us to that. And you said you would Snog Tyler, marry Sean, and void Geo.
Right. I mean, I honestly wouldn't choose to avoid anyone, but that's the game.
That is the game.
Out of anyone, like, it was a toss-up actually with snogging Tyler or Austin, because they're like the hot guys, you know. Sean is great. I could marry Sean. And then, yeah, the only one left is Geo.
Listen, they're all hot. You know, this is what we're getting from selling the OC that we don't get from selling Sunset. I am all here for this office eye candy. Bring it on.
Who would you snog, marry, or avoid?
I would probably snog Sean. Solid. And probably, I don't know. I'd probably marry Tyler and maybe void Geo, but I love Geo.
I love Geo, but the game is, unfortunately, like, in my opinion, there's hotter, and I'm just going to marry Sean. So, you know, he unfortunately is last on the list.
Well, they're all married except for Sean. And, you know, from doing a deep dive on your Instagram, which I've done before sitting down with you, you know, you and Sean are together a lot. So is there anything you want to tell us here today, Polly?
No, Sean likes boys.
I thought he liked both. I thought he went for both.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, we are not romantically involved at all. And I read a thing that apparently he's my ex-husband, which would be very weird. It's like, fake news started already. No, that's not true.
It is out there. It is very confusing. I never believed that was true. But yes, if you Google your name and there is this whole thing with like, who is your ex-husband, and Sean comes up and there's 1,000 pictures of him, which I knew wasn't true, but I think if someone...
My ex-husband is literally nobody. So.
What about, you know, what is your type? Like, if I said, just like, let's talk about, like, not in terms of personality, just in terms of looks in Hollywood, like, who's kind of your type?
I like a big guy, you know, kind of a Jason Momoa, Chris Hemsworth. I like a thick neck. You know, I like to feel little. I like height, you know, 6. If it starts with a 5, there's absolutely no way. Just for like, this is purely like shallow and visual. Yes, 6'4" or 6'5" is my ideal. I like a big guy. Okay. Dark hair, green eyes.
Are you currently dating anyone now?
I am not. I have been single for just over 18 months, actually. It's been so nice. I started 2 new careers with the filming as well, which wasn't expected, but I was married for a long time. My divorce lasted ages. I just dated, you know, I've had serious boyfriends since then. I just wanted a break, and it was definitely by choice. I was like, I don't need any distractions. Like, this is a really important time in my life, and I don't want any distractions. So I am kind of getting back into the feeling that, okay, well, maybe I could start dating again. Re-signed up on Raya a couple of weeks ago, so I'm back on there, but I'm more of an in-person person. I just find it, you know, pretty sad that, like, I'm swiping on people and it's like, oh, but this guy might have great banter. This guy, we might have really good chemistry. And then I'm like, oh, but then it's overwhelming with all of this stuff that you've got to, yeah, it's like a job in itself, and I've not had time, but I'm definitely open to.
I was going to say, well, you're in a very social job. You know, you can meet people through work.
Yeah, I'm actually being set up on a date with a property developer, actually, through a friend, and so I am going on a date next week, and I'm like, okay, well, we'll see.
Could be good for business, could be good for personal.
Well, I thought, if there's no chemistry, then it is good for business. He's a property developer and I'm a realtor. So, it's not, it kind of takes the pressure off of like, ooh, this is somewhat of a blind date. I don't really know much about him. He doesn't really know much about me. So yeah, I'm kind of going in thinking it's more like a business meeting, but we'll see.
Who do you think, other than yourself and Jason, like who do you think is the best agent in the office? Like if you were going to go buy a house or you had a house that you needed to sell, who would you trust it to?
Good question. Honestly, all of them are pretty solid. Like to work for the Oppenheim group, you can't be you have to know what you're doing, it's just about who you have the best relationship with. And I get on with a lot of them. So I'd be happy with Geo. I'd be happy with Brandi, Alex Hall, knows her shit, Lauren, Austin, Tyler. I would be happy with any of these guys. Like they know their shit, they're good at what they do, they close a ton of business, and yeah, I'd be happy with any of those guys.
Any of them except Jarvis and Rose, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, that wouldn't work for me.
That's what I got the sense of.
Yeah, subtle hints that we don't get on the show. Yeah.
Who would you say, just knowing, listen, this show stands on its own. We don't need to make, tons of comparisons to Selling Sunset because this show is so freaking great on its own. But who would you say is like the Christine of, she was the villain of Selling Sunset. Who would you say is the villain of the kind of Christine Quinn of the OC office?
Well, people ask me that, and it's such a difficult question because even when you go back and watch season 1 of Selling Sunset, Christine wasn't the standout villain. She kind of morphed into this very toxic negative personality within that group. So I feel like it's a wait and see who that person is, because I don't know. I mean, obviously, I've got my thoughts of, Jarvis is for me a villain. Like she just has the air of that type. So I don't know, maybe it's Jarvis, maybe it's Rose, maybe it's a wild card, maybe it's maybe it's Austin. It's not Austin.
No, but you have a good point. You're right. Like, I wouldn't even think of it like that, but you are right. Like it wasn't so clear season 1 when this all started that she was the villain. It kind of just all
went to a head a bit. And I don't know. I feel like there definitely is some people in the office down here who have potential for this to go to their heads and for them to turn into someone that they're not. And I